G'day legends, welcome back to the channel. We're PommyInOz and the 2025 season is just around the corner. We can see it, we can hear the door binging as people walk through it. So you know what that means, it's time for big, bold and probably stupid predictions. We're taking a look at the ladder predictions, the Brownlow, the Coleman, the Rising Star, a couple of spicy things that'll probably age you like sour milk. So strap yourselves in, grab your centre cuppa, let's get stuck into it and run that intro. So 2024 was a mad season, wasn't it? And 2025 already with Hurricane Alfred looks like he's going to be crazier. You'll always have your powerhouse teams at the start of the season dominate early and then curve off. You'll have a couple of young side surprise. There's always the big riser and there's always the big shock story, isn't there? And there's also some individual awards that are hotly contested. And I think the game has never been in a better position with the young players that are around. So please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We'll get stuck into the video now. It really does help us out. We've got loads of content coming up and we've got a live tonight. So if you have any questions, please make sure you drop them in the comments. So to kick things off, I suppose we better do the ladder prediction. So we'll work in reverse order. And the Wooden Spooners, no surprise, I've got as the Richmond Tigers. I don't like doing wooden spoons purely because I think it's harsh and it's it's mean to talk about them. But they are a young side. They are rebuilding. For me, it's a no-brainer. In a 17, this might surprise people because I had them as ones to watch this season. And it was so hard. But just looking at doing a few ladder predictors, looking at the ratings, I've got North Melbourne. So I'm sorry, Mans. I'm sorry, Kanga TV. It feels like the rebuild continues. I still have them here. 16, I've got the Saints. Now, this might surprise some people. I find it quite harsh as well. Just looking at the way the ladder formulates and their game style, although they're strong defensively, I don't quite see it offensively. So as harsh as it is, I'm having them there. 15th, a team that has really impressed me in the off-season, West Coast Eagles. I think they will improve slightly. I think they'll still be in that bottom four, but I think they'll be climbing their way out. I really like what they've got there, and I think over at Adelaide, over at West Coast, over in Perth, I think they'll shock a few teams. In at 14th, I've got the Essendon Bombers. Not quite there yet. I think they are going through like a little rejuvenation in how they play on the field. It's a very tight ladder, but I think Essendon will be 14th. In at 13, I've got the Dogs. Now, I think their start with all the injuries is going to be tough. I think they'll get a few players back. And I do have a bold prediction about the Dogs halfway through the season. So I think that they'll be in a little bit of strife with the start. And I think you may look at them trying to just rejuvenate that list at the end of the year. 12, I've got the Gold Coast Suns. I know everyone's got them in the 8. I still aren't convinced. I think that slingshot game style is going to always bite you in the bottom. And I have them 12th. 11th, this is a tough one. But I'm going Melbourne. What I've seen in the pre-season, I'm still convinced that this side is tough to beat. I think their midfield is as good as anyone's. Still have question marks on their forward line, but I think their back line with Petty going back there, you're going to see them incredibly intercept heavy. I think incredibly counter-punchy as well. I've got them at 11th. 10th, I've got Adelaide. Building nicely. I don't think they're quite ready for finals, but I think they'll have a good stabilisation year and they'll really, really threaten. I think they'll be a real impressive team and I think a lot of people will talk about them. And then at 9th, quite surprisingly, I've looked at this team and I think maybe the losses over a sustained period of time are starting to catch up with them. And I think you will see a slide. GWS, just missing out. They'll be in the hunt all season. But I think you will see the Giants just slide out of the 8. So then at 8th, we've got Port Adelaide. I know people love to make them fall, but what I've seen in the pre-season, I think they're playing a little bit more hungry. I think they're playing a more dynamic game style. I think although they've lost Dan Houston, how they've improved their list from back to front is incredible. I think they will be 8th. 7th, I think age is going to start to catch up with them. Got Geelong Cats. Still think they're too good to fall out of the 8, and I think they will be an incredibly experienced side. I have been hot on them all year, but I've done my ladder predictors a few times with different methods. I've got them 7th. In a 6th, I've got my Carlton Blues. Very inconsistent side, hard to place. I think there will be a serious finals threat, but I do think it's got to come right, and I think that this year you're going to see a more balanced production from the Blues, and I think you'll see a fit and healthy list, but I've got them 6th for now. 5th, I've got Hawthorn. I don't think they will be as dominant as people say, but I think when you look at where they've got the fixtures against their good sides, I think it's very helpful for them, even though it's a tough draw. I think they will be 5th. In at 4, I've got the Magpies. I think their back line looks real slingshotty. I think you're going to see a return to their best form. I think they'll be dangerous. The big risers in at 3, Fremantle. I'm backing the Dockers in to go big. I'm buying all the stock. I've liked what I've seen in pre-season. I think you are going to see JL cut the shackles a little bit. I think that is one of the most depth sides in the competition. I think they play a real strong brand of footy as well. I think they will surprise. In at 2, the best young midfield in the competition, the Sydney Swans. I know Errol Goulden is out early doors, but I think how they're playing and what they look like under Cox ball is going to be strong. And backing up last year, I'm going with Brisbane. I think that they will be the minor premiers. I think they will be very strong to beat. I think this year they're going to see the finals be very different to what you have seen. I think a team outside of the 4 will win it, but I think it's going to be a very tight ladder with only a couple of wins separating 1 through 6. I think it's going to be a very, very give and take a bit year. So they are my ladder predictions. Get in the comments and critique it. I know we always do. But let's go on to the awards. And the Brownlow Medal, the big one, I'm going to give to Nick Daicos. I think Nick Daicos will have a very big role in Collingwood's rise back up the ladder. I think you'll see other players that have been competing for it, like Cripps, take a more dynamic approach in how he does and be a more provider for a young midfield. I think Nick Daicos will step out of the limelight and really control that midfield and pick up a hell of a lot of ruts. The MVP, usually voted different to the Brownlow, and I'm going to go with Jason Horne-Francis. I know people are predicting Paul to fall, so that's why I've gone this. I think Jason Horne-Francis will win it. I think he's going to be the best player at Port Adelaide. I think he's going to be a really phenomenal year. I think he's going to be a goal-kicking mid as well. I predict 25 goals plus from him. And I think a real strong year and a real coming of age. And that makes him my surprise All-Australian with Hayden Young as well. I think Fremantle's Hayden Young is really going to shine this year and be really strong. The Coleman Medal, I'm going to give to Big H, Harry McKay. I think he's going to be sensational. He's going to play probably a couple of rounds early with Harry, without Charlie. I think he's going to be the main target this year for the Blues as they try and play Kemp and Curnow off him. I think you're going to see him become the alpha of that forward line. And I think you're going to see the best from Harry McKay this year. And he's going to be real strong. Now, the Rising Star, because Adelaide, I think, are going to play such an exciting brand this year, I'm going to give to my mate Sid Draper. I think he gets a great run of games. I think he is the POD we've been looking for in Adelaide's midfield. And he really does surprise a lot of people. And I think he surprises everyone and takes out that. Now, let's go for the bold calls. The bold calls this year, I'm going to go with Luke Beveridge steps down at right, round 18. And they look for a reshift. I've got a feeling that there is something going to happen at the Dogs. That you hear all these rumblings, players not happy, that they look to appease that by changing it. And Beveridge says, right, okay, I'm done. I'm stepping away, and puts his name in lights for the Tasmanian job. I reckon round 18 he says, I'm standing down. And I'm going to give a bold prediction that Ass Hansen takes the reins in 2026. Breaking Carlton's hearts, but giving them a chance to refresh that list a little bit and go hard in 2026. My bold call is St Kilda go all in on Luke Jackson causing absolute chaos in the plan for Keziah Pickett to leave Melbourne. Now, there has been rumours that Luke Jackson's got there, and part of me thinks that's just Western media trying to do something. I know he's come out and tried to downplay it, but I reckon St Kilda are looking for this forward-type ruck. We know they're going with TDK. I predict TDK signs about the buy. They go all in, big money at Luke Jackson to try and pair him up with Rowan Marshall and get excited. And I also predict they snare LDU as well in a big, big switcheroo and go really big. I reckon St Kilda say the time is now. We've got the young list. It's not quite flourishing. It needs the big names in there. And I reckon they go for 2 big superstars in LDU and Luke Jackson. So there we have it, legends. I hope you enjoyed that. They're my big AFL 2025 seasons. I'm sure some of you will be fuming in the comments. I'm sure some of you love it. As always, let's have a discussion about it. It's always good. Let me know your bold calls in the comments. I love to hear it. If you enjoyed this one, please make sure you like and subscribe. Smash that notification bell as well. Good, thanks for tuning in as always. I'm out of here. I'll see you at 8 o'clock. Peace.